What's up, YouTube? Back for another video, and this time I have a pile of editing work to do. Back in the day, I used to have a podcast called The Ride Home, and I really enjoyed doing it. It was fun stuff, me and my friends getting together, talking, and just enjoying a nice, good conversation, and it just felt right to do. I am staring down the barrel of a 3.5 hour podcast session that I have to chop down into an actual, more feasible time frame. And there's a lot of crap that I know I can just be like, oh, the next 10 minutes are garbage, let me just zoom past. But there is still quite a bit of editing to do. And how the hell am I supposed to concentrate on over 3 hours of just me and my friends talking to each other? Caffeine is usually my eternal answer for that. And this particular caffeinated beverage is actually special because it's a recipe that I pulled offline for a coffee combination that I really enjoy and fills me with not only waves of nostalgia, but lots of energy too, which is exactly the point. Plenty of get up and go juice so that I can get these next videos nice and ready. Take you back to 2008 when the Coca-Cola company decided to bring over one of their drinks from France and the Czech Republic and other markets to the West. This drink was Coca-Cola Black, spelled with a K, and I always thought it was kinda cool. Besides having a super cool looking bottle, I really enjoyed the blend of taste between coffee and Coca-Cola. Unfortunately, in the US, our version used aspartame and God knows whatever filler that the FDA allowed them to poison us with. French and Canada got the good versions with real sugar and more of a natural coffee flavor, whereas the US got more of that Coca-Cola corn syrupy solution. But I'm not here to complain because the drink was taken off shelves pretty damn quick. The drink only lasted 2 years here in the US before it was discontinued, and even though I missed the flavor, it was something that, you will see again someday. Fast forward to 2001, and I'm at a gas station getting fuel, going out to hang out with a few friends. One of my friends wants to pick up the new Coke that they have advertised all over the outside of the store. He goes to the back and gets a can, and color me surprised when I see that it is a blended variant of Coca-Cola and coffee. It seems like they tried again 13 years later, and this time they even added different flavors to try and capitalize on that coffee kick and the boom and all that. It just didn't seem to work. For some reason, the US just doesn't seem to like Coca-Cola and coffee together, which I don't understand. I think the combination's pretty good. As of now, you can still buy this canned Coca-Cola coffee online or in your retailers if your retailers stock the product, but I can't imagine the sales numbers are really high for that kind of thing, and from looking online, it doesn't look like there's too much demand. I also got to try this Coca-Cola coffee in cans that I'm talking about, and it just did not match up to the punch that was Coca-Cola Black. And then when I think about it, even Coca-Cola Black, the coffee taste wasn't a super fresh, awesome flavor. It was kinda bland and not so great. The Coca-Cola kinda saved it. So, what is the true key for the person who wants to experience both Coca-Cola and coffee at the same time? Make that shit yourself. Here's some real quick instructions on how you can make your own super high level, absolutely delicious Coca-Cola coffee in your own home. Step 1 starts with the coffee, and for me, I like to use a nice dark roast espresso. Now, you don't have to go so dark or even so caffeinated to enjoy the sweet flavors of Coca-Cola and coffee together. All you have to do is experiment for a while and find the ratio that best suits you, simply because I have experimented with many different coffees and pouring techniques, and really guys, there's only one real good way to do it to make sure it tastes this good, to me anyway. So I'm just going to walk you through my steps, and hopefully pretty soon you will have a delicious coffee beverage in your hands. If you like Coca-Cola and coffee together, be sure to give it a try. So like I said, step 1 is getting that good espresso, and I got a nice 4 shots of it right here. So the real trick to this drink is pouring the ingredients in the correct order, because if you pour them out of order, you could actually ask for a scientific clusterfuck. So if you don't want coffee and bubbles spilling all over your counter and your hands getting everything all sticky, try this ratio right here. For me, I like a good 16-ounce glass or so, filled about this much with ice. And it's okay if your drink gets a little watered down. You actually kind of want that in this scenario, especially if you use a strong espresso, because I actually like to mix my strong espresso with water in a coffee drink called an Americano. So the ice is going to melt, but if you do it in the proper way, it won't melt fast and you won't have a nasty science experiment on your hands. You will also need a can of Coca-Cola, and I highly recommend it being cold, because who the hell likes hot Coke? The final step is the pour. And this is where you gotta pay attention. Step 1, get your glass of ice and fill it about halfway with Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola to coffee ratios can vary, especially if you're sensitive to caffeine and maybe don't like the taste of coffee as much as you like the taste of cola. So feel free to experiment around, but I like to go half a can myself, and then after that, Once the bubbles have simmered down and you have a nice little layer there, you want to pour your coffee over the top of that, letting it blend in and possibly giving it a nice little stir. I use little plastic straws to stir. Just give it a nice little stir and let the coffee sink into that. As you can see, I use 2 shots of espresso in this mix, and it doesn't quite fill up the cup, so I add a little bit more of the Coca-Cola to top it off and give it a nice creamy head. I wish I could explain the awesomeness that comes into a drink like this. It's just something that I really enjoy. When poured the right way and at the right temperature and consistency, it is something delicious and special. When made incorrectly, it could taste like a big, bitter pile of why did you ever make this? So be sure to get a ratio that works well for you and experiment around. Maybe you want a little more coffee flavor. Maybe you want a little more Coca-Cola flavor. Your first time making this, unless you make it just like this, is probably going to suck. So keep your chin up. If the flavor is somewhat doable for you, try again, and eventually you'll find that proper ratio that works good for you. Now, I'm not saying to drink this every day. It does have a fuck ton of sugar. As I've mentioned, I am an Americano guy. I like my coffee and water, and that's about it. But some days you just need a nice little pick-me-up, and you need to extra boost your coffee with something like Coca-Cola. I hear it's pretty popular in France and some South American countries. I've even heard Italians say that they like to make this themselves. I actually got this recipe from an Italian person who put it up on the internet to try out. So if the rest of the world is drinking Coca-Cola coffee and you don't really like the offerings we have, or we don't have any offerings near you, just make your own. Thanks for watching. Watch more anime, drink some delicious coffee, and I'll see you guys soon.